Welcome to the Vox Cascadia podcast, the voice of Kill Team Cascadia. I'm Chuck Pepper, one of your hosts. With me tonight are Connor Spanaway and Tyler Johnson. We also have a guest with us tonight, another member of Kill Team Cascadia, Erik Belle. So, Connor, say hi to the people.
Hello, everyone. My name is Connor, a longtime fan of Kill Team Cascadia, and glad to be here.
And then Tyler.
What's up, everyone? This is Tyler. I am one of the founders of Kill Team Cascadia, and it's so good to be here with my friends. Finally doing this. It's been long requested by people.
Yeah, so it's great to get together with all you two. And then Erik, introduce yourself, and then we'll go through and just kind of talk about each of ourselves and kind of who we are and why we're doing this.
Sure. My name is Erik Belle. Most people know me as Tyler's go-to guy for anything KTC related. Here to help the guys get settled with the podcast and kick things off. Pretty excited to be of assistance.
Yeah, we're great. It's great to have you here, Erik. And you were there with us at LVO too. We're going to talk about that a lot tonight too. So just a little bit about each of us. So like I said, my name is Chuck. I've been around miniature games and specifically 40K since the late 90s. Second edition Warhammer was my first box set that my buddy Nick got me addicted to, and I've been painting Blood Angels since then. I put the hobby down for quite a while, and then like a lot of people, I picked it back up in 2020 when COVID started, and I created a little space in my house to make sure I paint every day, and at this point I'm on a 3-year streak of doing a little bit of hobby every day, whether that be painting, building, or even just playing the game with people. One of my favorite things about Kill Team itself is just that it's not as much mental load, and it's not as big as big 40K. I can get a box and get a new team and get going with that. And yeah, I don't have to invest in an entire army to find out if I like them or not. So, Connor, what about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to this?
Yeah, so I've only been in the hobby itself since I guess probably 2020, but really active in it in the fall of 2021 when I was at school and I walked into a local game store. Ironically enough, I saw people playing Star Wars X-Wing, despite being into 40K at the time, building up an AdMech army. I saw X-Wing and I was like, "What's this?" Played one game, heard it was only like $30 to get a full force, bought that in an instant and started playing that for pretty much probably 2 or 3 times a week for about half a year until an edition came out that kind of screwed over the game. And ironically enough, I had bought the Octarius box and didn't even really care about Kill Team. I just wanted Krieg because I thought Krieg were cool, and I split a box with someone. And I was like, well, I have Kill Team. I might as well try this. Played one game of that and have not looked back since. Kill Team is by far one of the best games I've played. Its model count, or rather models it gives you, absolutely awesome. The rules are straightforward for the most part and make sense, and it's just a great time. Alternating activations is always a must have, so I'm glad it's in here. And yeah, just love playing it. AdMech all the way, forever and always. I try other teams, and I just am sad I'm not playing Scutari halfway through.
Well, maybe you'll get your Dark Mechanicus coming down the road. So I think
I can pray and hope so to the Dark on the Messiah.
it's rumored to be coming. So hopefully you get that. And will you be okay switching from the Omnissiah to the
There's
Dark Omnissiah?
barely a difference as is. It's just a matter of who they're making the guns and tanks and creepy stuff for. So there's no real major change.
All right. Well, thank you, Connor. It's great to hear from you. And then Tyler, why don't you tell the good people about yourself a little bit?
I've been doing Warhammer. I picked it up in second edition, a lot like you, Chuck. I walked into a game store and I saw like the Avatar Kane and like the early Angels of Death artwork. That Blood Angels right on the cover of it, and it just give me brainworms, and I've been kind of hooked ever since. Like you, gone in and out of the hobby. But I really got back into it when I got back to Oregon about 6 years ago. Started playing Kill Team 2018 with a couple friends up in Wilsonville, and then COVID killed that. I would consider myself mostly a narrative player, kit basher, painter. But something about this edition of Kill Team's really brought out the competitive side in me. and I don't know what it is, but it just plays great. Love the game, and obviously we built a really big community around it. So there's a lot of love for it here.
Yeah, I know one thing that really inspires you to get a team going is to not just have a box art team. I'm a big box art team guy. I know that you, Tyler, if you're looking to get a team going, it's got to be kit bash. It's got to be cool. So I appreciate that about what you do. Also, you mentioned that your 12th birthday party. You told me this the other day that your 12th birthday was a Warhammer themed birthday. Tell me a little bit about that.
It was. I had my friends over. I had one other friend who played Tyranids at the time, which were the best Tyranids. Those goofy second edition, brightly colored looking bugs. And we were trying to convince all our other friends to play it also, because we had the lead poisoning from the old models. And so for my birthday, we invited everyone over. I kind of divvied up my models haphazardly, and he did the same. And we had the worst game of Warhammer probably ever. And then we took a limo ride, and it was a great 12th birthday. I look back on it with fond memories.
That sounds like a pretty sweet birthday. The limo ride at 12. I was 40 my first limo ride, so you got that way ahead of me. So so that's the three of us, myself, Connor, and Tyler. We're going to be the main core of the Vox Cascadia podcast, but we have with us a special guest tonight, Erik Belle, who we mentioned earlier. He is one of the founders of Kill Team Cascadia with Tyler. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, Erik.
Sure. So, I guess the best way to describe me is the way that I got into Warhammer. A couple years ago, I had some friends that were interested in AOS, and then I had a couple friends that were interested in Kill Team. And unfortunately, Warhammer is a social game, and the interest kept waning more and more for those games. And I was like, screw it. I'm going to go to the Tacoma GT, and I'm going to figure out if I'm actually going to like this game or I should just closet to shame all of this stuff. So on my way to get to the Tacoma GT, what was it, 22, I believe it was. I messaged on a local Discord, the Rose City Sigmar Discord, I believe it was, to see if anybody would be interested in meeting up for the day. I was planning to go for the hobby pass and just interact with some people and say hi and network, but I reached out to the AOS players to see if anybody would be interested in meeting up and saying hello. And weird guy named Tyler ended up saying, "Yeah, let's just hang out. Happy to say hello." So met with Tyler for lunch. We ended up hitting it off. He explained what Kill Team was and that he was excited to play it. And then uh, all of a sudden, I'm canceling my train back home to ride with Tyler to start talking about creating a Kill Team club. Didn't even play Kill Team at that point, but talking about creating a Kill Team club because he was so emphatic about it. And my project manager brain was just like, this needs to happen. If there's something here, this needs to happen, and this is amazing. This is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be in a social hobby. I wanted to be around people and do things. So yeah, we brainstormed KTC on the way back to my place, and me and Tyler have been really close, really good friends since. It's been an amazing couple years with him and the rest of the KTC group. Just blossoming this into something that frankly is weird, weirdly successful. But it's been great, and I've been
It's pretty
super
impressive.
happy.
It's pretty impressive what the two of you, and especially and with Greg as well, have grown. Starting from what first Kill Scream was what 12 players,
10
20 players.
for the first day, I think. Yeah, 12 for the competitive, I think. 8 for the second day. I don't know. It was small, tiny.
And then Kill Scream 2 was just a scant 64 players. So
not that big.
yeah,
It's fine.
yeah. So and that's
If I
just in 1
recall,
year.
only the second biggest U.S. Kill Team event, maybe third now because LVO, but
So
I think that's pretty cool.
at the time, it was the largest Kill Team event. We maxed out at 64. I think there was one other event that was a couple people shy of 64, if I remember correctly. And then LVO, of course, stomped it to the ground with a, what was it, 100 and There was 164 registered between the competitive and narrative event. I think it was like 58 was for the competitive, something along those lines. But the actual total, when everything's said and done, because of course people leave, was like, Dakota's going to shoot me for this. I'm not sure what the number is, so I'm not going to say it arbitrarily. But it was large, and it dwarfed Killscream, and I am super, super happy and thankful that Dakota let me be a part of that.
Yeah,
Dakota killed it, by the way. Let's big shout out to Dakota from Squad Games and Luster's Workshop for all of his hard work in the community and stuff like that.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I have to be honest. Part of the reason we're here having this chat today is because every Tuesday morning Squad Games drops, and I have to listen to it. And I wanted to get in on that, talking more about Kill Team with people. So, on that topic, what do we want this podcast to be about? I know that I want to talk. I just want to talk Kill Team. What do you guys want to? What do you guys want this podcast to be?
I mean, I think Kill Team is the obvious thing since that's what we do as a club. But like I think that there's a lot of grounds to talk about some of the finer points of the hobby, lore. Like there's a lot involved. It doesn't have to. I don't think we have to say necessarily on topic with the hottest Kill Team news only. But as long as we keep it related, I see good stuff with it.
Yeah, and I know, Connor, you're going to want to talk about the weekly AdMech news.
Yes, absolutely. Convert people to playing Hunter Clade, the officially best team ever, in my completely unbiased opinion. They only do everything that every team wants, minus Blast. Who cares about Blast, though? You don't need it. But yeah, on a more real answer, it's just awesome to talk about Kill Team. I got introduced to Kill Team Cascadia through another very prominent member, our two-time champ for Killscream, Mr. Brandon Bean, Kiddo Crew himself. I went to a tournament that the guy I started playing Kill Team with, he went to a store in Seattle and was like, dude, this is an awesome time. You should go to the next tournament they have. I did. Thankfully, I think I met, or I know for a fact I met Bean there, and I think Tyler, you might have been there, but I only like traded like one or two words with you throughout the day. But he gave me a link to the server, and it's been great things ever since. I was like, oh sweet. Here's, at the time it was probably only like maybe 80 people in the Discord, and now we're like 400 plus, maybe 500 now. I don't know how to count, but
It was 460 the last time I checked.
nice.
460 accounts registered to the KTC Discord.
That's
that doesn't
fucking
necessarily
sick.
mean that it's 460 members, but I'm going to imagine it is, so it is.
Yeah, let's say 500 because rounding up, and that sounds cooler. But yeah, I had this people that I was bored at work that I was like, hey, let's talk Kill Team, and I can do that for 8 hours instead of like pretending to care about this crappy job. So that made my days a lot better, and I've been so glad to be in Cascadia ever since. So
That's awesome.
anytime we can just get people talking about Kill Team, that's always a great time to me.
Yeah, I think I know that like I check my phone a lot and see what's the newest in the Discord, and so I'm excited to talk about more stuff. I know that it's not just gonna be hot Kill Team gossip. We are gonna have some more guests in too, people from the competitive community, people from the hobby community, and then we're gonna do some long form stuff too. We're gonna do all the standard things with the Kill Team breakdowns and best practices to make sure that you're taking your opponents off the table. So, let's shift over. Eric, you talked a little bit about LVO, but let's talk a little bit about let's talk some more about that. So, after we got there, I got 3 flights canceled on me trying to get there out of the Pacific Northwest. We had like a half inch of ice on everything, and they couldn't fly for some reason. It's crazy. But once we actually got out there and got to the tournament, talk about Tyler and Eric. Let's talk about your experiences there. Unfortunately, Connor didn't join us this year. You're coming next year though, right, buddy?
Oh, absolutely. I've all but convinced my girlfriend and her friends that we're doing like a week-long girls trip, and in the middle of that week, there's maybe like 2 or 3 days I drop out to go play Kill Team all the time.
That's perfect. I'm sure it's going to be even bigger next year. So, Tyler and I both played at LVO. I went there last year and played the pods for one day, and then Tyler did competitive for 2 days. But we both played all 3 days of competitive this year. And Eric, you were one of the TOs this year. So, Eric, talk a little bit about your experience, Tio, in this tournament. Now you've done tournaments here in the Northwest, but this is obviously out of our neck of the woods, and it's a different experience. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it was like I said, it was a pleasure to work with Dakota in getting the tournament going and making sure that all of the players had a good time, had a fun time. The single best thing that you can get out of a tournament, for better or worse, is no drama. And to my understanding, there was no drama. So it was a huge win from a TO perspective, because it seemed like even when there was some issues between two particular players for a game, everything seemed to hash out great. Everybody had a wonderful time, and that's like kind of the best thing that you can get from a tournament. It was a little weird for me. I'm not used to judging. It's not to say that I can't necessarily judge some simple calls, but out in the Pacific Northwest, we don't really do ITD, and most of my judging calls were for ITD, which made me run to Dakota quite often. um, but no, it was a good time. Dakota was a great sport about it, and we just wanted to make sure that everybody had the correct calls rather than, I guess, bad ones. So it was good. It was yeah, I don't know. I can only say it was a good time. So many times.
ITD threw me for a loop, tell you what, as a player. On open, I felt pretty confident for the most part. It was doing all right. ITD, I did a lot better than I thought I was going to. Played more than double the amount of ITD games that I had previously. So I went from like 5 to now upwards of 11 ITD games after LVO. So that was really, really hairy to drop into some of the best players in the world with little experience on the setting.
Yeah, if only that had come out like within the last year, and we could have played some of it. But we were going to have a tournament just before LVO here in the Northwest, kind of a prep tournament with some ITD, so we could get our cut our teeth on it. But unfortunately, the ice storm that came in knocked out that too. So I really enjoyed the ITD games. I think I'm actually going to try and play more of it. It's a pain to set up, but when you can walk into a tournament and all the boards are set up for you, it's awesome.
Plus, we already live in the Northwest as it is. We are in the dark, so I think that's kind of why we avoided the game mode. It reminded us too much of like these 8 long months of no sun. So
That's fair. Yeah, we live that. So Connor, what about you as far as your experience with Into the Dark? Because you're part of this Northwest scene where we shun Into the Dark. What do you think of it?
I am. It's growing on me now that I understand it a little bit better because my local store or up in Tacoma, we've been playing it a lot because we're like, we should probably at some point learn it. And there's been a couple like local 12 to 16 man tournament, and not even like tournaments, but like just a get together really to play like 3 rounds of it that we've been doing. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. I finished second or third now in the last 4 of them, which is getting a little annoying. Yesterday was super close, but just came down to the wire and some unfortunate final activation made a boneheaded mistake and it cost me the game, so I was a little sad and cried to myself to sleep. But ITD's grown on me. Having infiltrators be able to swap to engage now that I figured out how the forward deploy thing works is a huge plus because it means I can get a cross map charge turn 1 and kill in enemy leader on turn 1, which is great for Headhunter, one of my favorite ploys, or not ploys but ops.
Yeah, Headhunters a fun one. Those first turn alphas can get pretty nasty though.
I was going to jump in about Into the Dark up here real quick. I'm probably the major reason that we don't play a whole lot of it. Me
You
and
in fact
Greg.
are, yeah.
It's all Tyler's fault because that's what we need to hear.
It is. I'll take the blame for this. I am officially an Into the Dark hater. I am not. I still hate it after LVO, although Dakota's maps made it much better.
True. Asymmetric solves a lot of the problems.
Yeah, I think there's some legitimate gripes with Into the Dark and the format. I do think that there are some positives to it, and as a community, we're getting to the point where it's good. But it wasn't there for the majority of the time that people have been playing Into the Dark. I think that there are some extremely problematic interactions and rulings in it that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'll be honest.
So,
So
from a TO perspective, I can tell you that Into the Dark is not. It doesn't. It doesn't feel ideal. So when you're thinking about like actually running an event, and one of the reasons why people really like it is because it is different. But when you think about running an event, you got to think about the terrain and the costs that surrounds the terrain and the maintenance and the upkeep and the painting and the keeping of them for storage. It's a lot of work. Um, it's also a lot of work, especially prepping GW ITD terrain, um, and putting it together and dismantling it. Fun fact, I actually cut myself on a piece of ITD terrain while I was trying to take it apart at LVO. So it spurned me even in death. But yeah, from a TO's perspective, I don't I find it frustrating because I can find open terrain, like open play terrain, pretty easily, whether it's through Warcry or um, Octarius or Chalnath or whatever have you. Even some makeshift stuff you can just throw on a table and play. But ITD is very specific; it's very tailored, which means that you have to incur additional costs, which really suck, especially when you have a over uh, budget in the first place.
Yeah, I know that's one of the things I saw at a lot of the earlier Kill Team Cascadia tournaments that I played were um, bespoke boards. With it wasn't always Octarius terrain. There was a lot of different terrains, and even like mid games between matches, you guys were resetting the terrain too. So when we moved to Killscream 2, the boards were set and we moved people around more. So I could see how that the idea of Into the Dark, where and yeah, I've put together Into the Dark boards. It's kind of a nightmare. It's like which one is B1, which one is C1. So I could see how that would be kind of a barrier to entry for tournament stuff. But now seeing it at a major tournament, and obviously Squad Games put a bunch of money and they put a bunch of resources into getting the boards. Are we going to try and put more of those into our local tournaments?
I'm going to say yes. We will see Into the Dark and even some Beta Decima in the future at our events. So people do need to be prepared for those. What amount you will see of those is yet to be determined. We do have a fair amount of Into the Dark, just setting it up and deploying it, making sure that people are playing a fun event and a fair event. Um, so that people aren't getting stuck on Into the Dark, which strongly favors certain teams over others. Stuff like that will come with time, but we need to make sure that the format is correct to achieve what we want with our events and make sure that everyone's having a good time and not discouraged.
Yeah, so from a TO perspective, or like more of an organizational perspective, I would 100% agree with Tyler. I think we're both copacetic here. I think that it is long term a necessity to make sure to maintain uh, the, I don't want to say the sanctity of the game, but just like make sure to keep up with the things that people are considering competitive. And that is, I do think that us only doing open has been a bit of a failing, but like I said before, it's a budding new club and there's only so much that we can do, and so we wanted to definitely focus on open the most, because we believed it to be the most fun. But again, like Taylor's saying, we want to make sure that it's open to all sorts of competitive folks. And so if you're trying to be competitive in Kill Team, you should be aware of other play modes. That is kind of a tenet to being a competitive player. So expect it, but we're still working out the levels. It could be maybe a map or two, or it could be half the maps, right? We don't know what that looks like, but we'll try to throw some stuff in there.
So on that competitive note, Tyler, do you feel like you were at a disadvantage going to LVO because of your lack of Into the Dark experience? I know that I felt like I was. It was trying to remember the rules and figure out how I could do stuff. How did that change your experience or your prep for going into LVO?
So one thing about me is I like to prepare when I have time to prep for tournaments and stuff like that, but I don't. I don't look at map packs. I try to just get the core rules and the interactions down, and then play by my gut to a certain degree. I felt pretty good on Into the Dark. I actually, as I got into the groove of it, felt even better. Novitiates, who I was playing at LVO this year, are extremely strong on Into the Dark. My lack of experience with it did cause a couple um, misplays, especially in my game against Jimmy Kelly. There was a moment, first turning point, where um, I tilted my flamer a little bit wrong, and her head couldn't get line of sight, and he was able to move up on me without me getting the guard action, which I really needed there. So, like, it obviously did affect me, but I think the majority of my misplays that I made throughout the event weren't because of Into the Dark as a setting, but more me focusing on organizing more over the last year than playing as a player.
Let's you mentioned your game with Jimmy Kelly. Let's talk a little bit more about some of your other games. What were some of the cool moments from your games, that stuff that stood out to you? I know you said that you had a lot of great games. I know the one with Jimmy Kelly was good. Jeremy, who ran High Fleet, you said that was like my mind melting but a great game. So tell me about some of your other moments.
So the game against Jeremy with his Hive Fleet was absolutely mind melting. Who brings Hive Fleet to a major event like that? Nobody's prepped for that. Nobody plays Hive Fleet except for Jeremy, and it was
Even
good. It was like a
Oh, sorry.
go
Oh, I
ahead.
was just gonna. It's become a boogeyman now in Cascadia's chat. People are like, so who's gonna be the madman that brings all Gene Stealers to the next tournament? Because like he finished top 8, right, with all practically a
Right.
full Gene Stealer list.
Yeah, I mean, on Into the Dark, they're extremely strong. No joke.
Yeah.
You've got 5 flamers, lethal 5 on it. That's really gnarly. Um, there, and their ability to change order and always be super concealed is really good. He played just an extremely tight game with them. There's a lot of pressure when Gene Stealers are running up on you, and you can't shoot them. No matter what you do, unless you get close enough. Um, it becomes difficult, and really it comes down to like one misstep in a game like that. There was a moment in Turning Point, I want to say 2, where I mispositioned one of my guys, and he swapped from conceal to engage, charged me, and killed the person. And I blew him up, causing some damage, and that caused me to be short on CP next round at the start to make the Eyes of the Emperor and Defenders of the Faith there, so that I could do the shooting attacks I needed with good rolls, which they always have. It could have very easily changed the flow of that matchup. So it was incredibly tight. I think it was 1 or 2 points difference in that game, period.
Nice. That was yeah, I know you were going into that game was pretty tight. And that was that day 1 or was that day 2 when were you guys on Into the Dark or open?
We're on Into the Dark, or sorry,
Okay.
on open, end of first day. And it was really tough matchup. I mean, we were both doing good throughout the first day. So to match him at the end of day 1 was probably the most difficult time one of the most difficult times I could have matched him on open.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Chuck. Speaking of the open and Into the Dark thing, as someone who wasn't at LVO, I didn't ever see like an official, not official, but like a confirmation of how that worked. Did one half of the group do all ITD one day and then open the next, or how did they balance out the mix of terrain types?
So I can answer this. What Squad Games had ended up doing was they did a Group A and a Group B. And so for the first day, Group A was all in open and Group B was all in ITD. For the second day, Group A was all in ITD and Group B was all in open. And then the third day was a free for all. So they threw both groups into Group C, and you had a chance to get ITD, you had a chance to get open on all 3 of your matches, or none of your matches, or 2 of your matches. It was all random at that point.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked that we weren't going back and forth all day on the first 2 days. That myself, Tyler, and Greg, who went with us as well, we were all in Group A, so we were all on open the first day, ITD the second day, and then I got, I think, 1 game of ITD my third day. But I liked that it was open one day and then ITD. You didn't have to switch your brain back and forth as much. Tyler, what did you think about how that was structured?
Overall, I really like the structure of it. Ideally, in a multi-day tournament, we would do something similar for ITD, depending on the scale of it, or even first two, last 2 rounds would be similar. Although I have to say, I was definitely punished by the Chaos Gods for my hate of ITD with the way that they stuck me on all ITD day 3.
Yeah, you did get a whole extra day of Into the Dark after playing a full day of Into the Dark.
That would be brutal.
It was pretty intense,
Like,
honestly. I wasn't
especially
quite
if you
ready for
dislike
it,
it.
emotionally, but I did okay. Honestly, the last day I did better than I expected. So
That's good to hear. Tyler
What was
just
your
left. Oh, sorry. Tyler left Vegas a broken man, just different than how most people do it with no money in their wallet.
Yeah, I think we were all a little bit broken in one way or another. What was your overall record, Tyler? Were you 6-3, 7-2?
6-3. So yeah, 16th overall, which is the same as last year. However, this year it's a much bigger deal with the amount of players and the quality of players we saw there.
In getting back to cool moments, one moment that I had was it took 3 Casterkin in melee to kill a Grot on my final game.
Those grots can be sneaky though. Like
Uh, yeah, I played Nicole, and she had her orcs, and she took her grot, sprung it across the board, dropped it on the loot point right in front of me, and so I tried to kill it with my mind layer first to just stab it to death, and it took that. I had to charge in another casterkin to try and kill it and stab it now because my mind layer is stuck in combat, and then finally a third casterkin to kill the one little grot. So that was the grot's last stand was probably one of the most memorable moments of the tournament that I had.
Are you sure you have elite units?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if they're elite anymore, Eric. They are getting retired by me now. The Caster Kings are being put away after a full year of playing them. So
Imagine an entire like super unit of soldiers just getting outdone by a single dude, enough to ensure all of them retire for the rest of their days.
yeah, the Cadian Gate wasn't anything. It was that grot that was the real battle.
I still think about when the grot killed my legionary leader, aspiring champion last year at LVO after I whiffed everything. So, um, you know, you can't discount anything really in this game.
So, what team are you going to go to now, then, Chuck?
I messed around with Blades of Cain this weekend. Actually, I got the Salvation box when it came out, and I took them out for the first time against, crazy enough, Hive Fleet. A guy at my local store up here, Mind Taker, a guy named Spencer, who's getting into the game, and they were pretty fun. It was very different because I'm used to, one, just shooting the entire time and not having to like run up and stab things, but two, I'm also used to being able to roll dice and do whatever the heck I want with those dice, and I had to like roll the dice and just look at them. So that was a big change. But I spent most of the night Saturday painting up a couple scorpions and a dire avenger so I could get a team, and I think I'm going to try those out for a little bit. So I said I was going to retire Casterkin in last April after I won the local tournament down in Kaiser, Oregon, and they just kept coming back to me. So, but now they're officially put away for now.
I was gonna say it always feels good when you can retire a team, and then it feels good when you bring them back out. That's how it was with Novitiates for me. They've been retired since Tacoma, 2 years ago at this point. So
tell us about this. You're teasing another team there for me, Connor. What's this other team that you? If
Of
I have
course,
an idea what it might be.
I don't know why you might think, but if you want good shooting, good melee, and now an insane amount of dice, not so much fixing, but like almost fixing, there's these guys called the Hunter Clay that can like reroll everything, and you can make everything injured around you. So, maybe try those out too. If I can get another person on Hunter Clay, my job is complete.
Do you have like a quota that the Omnissiah has put on you for recruitment?
He said he will give me my like Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker style robot hands after 5 people.
I just want to see more teams converted using AdMech parts, because I feel like there's a plethora of AdMech kits out there and teams that you could potentially do as AdMech related
Oh yeah.
that haven't been.
You see all the time all the weird kit bashes I'm throwing, because like every AdMech kit comes with like you build it as one of two styles, like the Skitarii become Vanguard or Rangers. So you always end up with unique spare looking Archaeotech guns, some sick ass looking helmet, and like the other one I have now from the service kits, all these like lever action revolver rifles or Phosphex revolvers, and all this sweet backpack and loot. They are some of the best kit bashing stuff you can get.
So I'm just going to throw this out there. What about Gene Stealers?
No, I'm good.
They wrecked Tyler pretty good. Just saying.
No, I'm good. I could never bring a compendium team. You've been in our server. There's so much compendium hate too. I mean, like
I feel like I'm responsible for that also.
You are actually, yes, that's you too.
I'm the
Tyler,
bad guy.
you are a bad influence on the youth of America.
Yeah, okay, you guys, we're only playing competitively. No compendium teams and no Into the Dark only. I said so. No, compendium teams are fine. There's a lot of good compendium teams that do work. I just think they lack that spice, It's like eating unseasoned chicken versus like properly seasoned chicken.
Wait, you're supposed to season chicken?
Come on now, Chuck. Been in Oregon too long, or Washington.
That's fair, yeah. So speaking of compendium teams, another team that I faced was Joshua Kelly. My first game, he brought Talons of the Emperor, and I was like, okay. I saw this is my first pairing. I saw the pairing. I was like, all right, it's one of the Kellys. Kellys are all killers. So okay, that's not good. And then I brought Casterkin, obviously, and I saw Talons of the Emperor. I'm like, all right, 4 banana boys. I got a chance. And then Joshua said, I'm bringing 10 sisters. And I said, oh, pardon? And Joshua proceeded to beat me down pretty badly. So there's some compendium stuff out there that can add a little bit of flavor. And that flavor was, the Emperor's might in that game. So
I was going to say that the flavor was your blood splattered all over the walls.
There was a lot of Casterkin blood splattered all over the walls in that case. So, yeah, I think I lost. I think it was 22-11 when it was all said and done, and I was beaten by a young person wearing a vest and looking very sharp and just showing me how to play Kill Team. So yeah, it was a fun matchup and a great opponent too, though.
I mean, but that boot camp that they go through in the summer, I've heard that the Kellys Kill Team boot camp they got going on is the most intense down there. So I wouldn't expect to win against any of them. Basically, I think they play more Kill Team in a week than I do in a month.
Well, I know we're at least 0-2 between the two of us at the tournament, between Jimmy and Joshua. I don't know if Greg got a game with any of the Kellys. I know he got a game with Austin, who was part of Kill Team, and got beat down pretty good by Austin on Into the Dark with Austin's Casterkin. So we need to maybe steal some of the Kelly ideas and hone our skills for next year. Will they adopt us? Maybe, you think?
I hear that they're going to be up here in our area later this year in October.
Ooh.
So
I was about to ask, have they received an invite?
So Yeah, no, I talked with a couple of them, and I definitely want to bring them up. I think that they would be very good opponents for the Pacific Northwest, especially since, for whatever reason, our region doesn't like to move around to different large tournaments. So getting other people in here, I think might spice up uh, the local scene. Uh, and those Kellys, I really want them to come up. I think it would be a lot of
Love.
fun to have them up here.
So let's real quick. Let's get back to October and what's happening in a minute. But other people we met at LVO. Tyler, Eric, did you have anybody that you met? I know Tyler had a man crush finally fulfilled with someone from Florida
Yeah, me and Ben from Battle Brothers Tabletop finally got to meet. That's been years in the making.
in Guy
We
Fieri's restaurant too. I don't know if there was a better place you could have met.
absolutely not. Like, can you think of a better spot for two beautiful bearded men to meet and hug?
No, it was I got pictures of it. It was a kind of a touching moment that I think is going to stick with me for a long time. Actually,
hmm it was so cool to hang out with Ben and see Ben. Like we've been buddies online for years at this point, which is kind of wild. Think that I've been friends with people from this game across this country and stuff for years is blows my mind. Um, but just to hang out and be able to chat with him and have a couple drinks, and we didn't get any games of Kill Team in, but it was just great. Exactly like I thought it would be. Cool dude. Can't wait to hang out with him again this October, hopefully.
yeah, I got to hang out with him too. Like super nice guy, and even better in person than he comes across online. Um, I think it was great to hang out with Dakota again too. As he
Mm-hmm.
pointed out on his podcast, I hung around with him last year a little bit and talked his ear off in a good way. In a good way. But Connor, if you had one person from the Kill Team community that you maybe fan AdMech about, who if there anybody that you'd want to meet?
So not so much for Kill Team, but there's a guy on the AdMech like community, particularly the subreddit, Dadmech, who's like one of our best 40k players. I would love to meet him and just talk to him because the way he plays AdMech is insane. But funny enough, I can't speak. Funnily enough, also Ben, who you guys got to meet, because his video was the first one I saw about he had these awesome orange Tempesta signs that he used back when Talons of the Emperor were like the boogeyman back, like very beginning of Kill Team. And I saw that video and I was like, oh, that's cool. What's Kill Team? And that's what, funnily enough, led me to trying it out for the first time. So hopefully I can meet him at some point and like be like, thank you. You have indirectly shaped the next like 4 years of my life of meeting the coolest people in the world.
Are you going to try and convert Dadmech to Kill Team? Has he
I have
found?
I don't know if he plays Kill Team, but I know I post enough on the AdMech subreddit about like people are like AdMech suck in 10th edition. I'm like, where they don't suck? Kill Team, the better game. Play this instead.
And you haven't got yourself banned from it yet
Not
for just posting all
yet.
Kill Team?
So
Good.
thankfully it's worked out.
I believe in you though. I think you can get there.
Don't worry, we'll keep it on the down low and we won't share it with anybody else.
Exactly. This is not being published out on like Spotify or YouTube or anywhere where people can listen to this, right?
Of course
Like
not.
and
No,
subscribe.
no.
Yeah.
We'll probably send this over to Greg. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
just
Dakota.
this is just hanging
That'll
out for
be it.
Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
What about Eric? What about you? What was anybody you ran into at LVO that you were like maybe fanboying about, or just a cool person?
Yeah, so there was actually a vendor that we ran into. I'm surprised that I remember it because I had a time in Las Vegas with alcohol and it was great. But we ran into
People
a
are known to
vendor.
do that.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm an adult. I consented to drink. But yeah, we ran into a vendor who had a ton of really cool old collectible stuff. And me and him just nerded out over the commemorative series. Anybody that knows me knows that I love collecting the commemorative series models. I love holding on to them. I think that they are, as products, even the packaging that they're created and put in, I think that they're stellar looking products, and I like to collect them. I try to get 2 so I can open one and then keep the other one. And I don't try to resell. If anybody's worried about that, I do not resell to upcharge everybody else. That's not the game plan. I legitimately like to collect them. And so me and this other guy, this vendor, we nerded out about the secret gobos over the years. I ended up buying I spent way too much money on it, but it's fine. A Sisters of Battle comic book, one of the Marvel comic books, um, and I freaking love it.
Saw that
Uh,
in your loot pile. That was super cool.
yeah, I'm so glad that I got it. And yeah, I don't know. He was just a cool dude. We told him about Kill Scream 3, and kind of some of our plans, and he's just like, "Oh, keep me in the loop. I want to know more about this." So yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that
his
guy
name
had
was
a
Alex.
really cool booth with a lot of really neat collector stuff that you didn't see. It wasn't like the GW store is awesome. It's fun to go look at all the neat stuff, especially when they bring out the Forge World stuff that you can't really see at other
Hmm.
places. But that guy had some just stuff that you were not going to find anymore.
Yeah, really, really great old hammer stuff. Obscure, books, art books for Warhammer. It was good stuff there.
I remember he had like the original, like first edition, not first edition, the first codex for Black Templars, I believe. And I was just like, this is awesome. This is the Warhammer that I remember in my youth. Like I always remember going into the Wizards of the Coast store and seeing like all this Warhammer stuff. When I went to like the Clackamas Town Center Mall, and it was in there. And like that was around the time that I was paying attention to Warhammer, and like I saw Warhammer. So when Black Templars came out, they were really trying to do like this really big push. So I saw that, and I'm just like, I don't need it. I want it. I don't need it. I can't do this.
Yeah, especially with a couple of cocktails in you. Trust me, I know spending money on Warhammer stuff is very hard to not do. Um,
I'm really
so
glad that the entire vendor hall was closed at that time, because I would be broke.
yeah, you did some work on the vendor hall during the day sober. So I can only imagine
Yep.
what you would have done in the evening without it. So, um, Tyler, anything else that really stuck out to you?
I mean, I got to meet Sam Lenz and Uncle Adam, or Tabletop Minions, which was really cool. Um, I'd been chatting with Sam Lenz because I make shirts and stuff like that, and I'm gonna send him one. And he was in line as we're getting ready to check in the Rio, and so I kind of fangirled him. I was like, "Oh my god, you're Sam Lenz! I'm such a big fan. I love the way you paint." Uh, you know, um, so that was neat. But we kept running into each other throughout the event, and we got to chat a lot. Gave him a bunch of stickers, and hopefully he's coming out in October also, but no promises there. But I was talking with him today about it, and he was asking for dates, which we need to get on here soon, guys.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Speaking of cool shirts, I am currently wearing the hoodies slash for me and you the crew necks we got because I've worn it practically every day since arriving in the mail. Cannot recommend them more. Everyone should buy some. They're great. Not even just like buy some to support our finances and whatnot. Buy them because they look cool, they wear awesome, and people think they're the coolest thing in the world. And it's very fun now to show up to Tacoma Games, which is the store I go to down in Tacoma. Every like kill team week, there's at least like 2 or 3 of us in them, which is super fun. And like at one point, the entire store is going to be in them.
It was so cool to see people at LVO wearing my stuff. That blew my mind, honestly. Like, because it was just like an idea in my head, and I
Oh,
was like,
like people
okay,
outside of our local area.
absolutely. I just shipped a bunch of stuff over to the UK and everything.
Hell yeah.
So we got stuff in what, 3 continents now. Some of it's going to Australia. Um, honestly, it's kind of wild. There's more than 200 dice thrower shirts out there, between the two designs and sweatshirts and stuff like that, which I never expected to even sell 100 shirts. So I'm super super stoked about that.
So let's talk about, we talked a little bit about old stuff you can buy, but new stuff that's coming out. So one of my highlights of going to Adepticon or LVO is always the Games Workshop reveals, because I just wait with bated breath to find out what's going to be the next thing that I can spend my money on. So we already knew about the Night Lords, and then we got another team. We got the Mandrakes. So Connor, what did you think about the two new teams that are coming out in the Kill Team Nightmare box?
So then I know nothing really, ironically, about the Night Lords or the Mandrakes. Like I have a vague understanding of what they do just from like, as everyone knows, like, oh, you hear about something from someone talking about what their favorite faction is. I know the Night Lords are super scary guys and their models look sick. My girlfriend's super into like all the chaos mutations and like evil looking guys. So when I showed her those, she said, "You are going to buy some and I will paint them for you." And I was like, "Sweet, that's a team I don't have to worry about." So that was a nice trend. So that was really cool. I love the look of the one that's holding like the banner of the Astartes guy. And then the Mandrakes look really cool too. Just the amount of detail they got, like in terms of actual painting, the glowing green and all the flames on them, or like I don't know if it's flames or like Eldar magic. I don't know, but regardless, looks super cool, super nice, like flowing technique, and especially because I was like, what do the old models look like? Yeah, this is a significant improvement for Drakari and Mandrake fans.
And Tyler, you played Legionaries for quite a while. How do you feel about? I mean, the Night Lords team is basically a Legionaries with a different upgrade sprue. What do you think about those? Are they going to tempt you away from novitiates, or are you looking at the Mandrakes?
I mean, so first off, Games Workshop needs to stop stealing my designs for my teams that I've already kit bashed, and putting them into production teams, because my Legionaries are Night Lords, and literally my icon looks like the Ventrilo master or whatever the guy is from the Night Lords. And then if you look at my Hand of the Archon, they're all kit bashed from the K Knight Shadow Stalkers, so they got those wispy cloaks. And then what does Games Workshop do? Mandrakes with wispy cloaks. What color are my cloaks? They're green on purple models. What color are the cloaks on Mandrakes? They're green on black models. So I'm ahead of the curve, honestly, on both of these teams. The thing is, they must have really good spies, because I don't post my stuff really anywhere.
They're in the server. They're listening to all our balance ideas. Make AdMech hit on twos. They'll be fair. I promise.
So Connor, are you gonna, once your partner's painted up your Night Lords kill team, are you going to stray away from the AdMech?
I temporarily might, because at some point I know I should like also play other teams just to get like both improve as a player so I can be a little bit more aware of tricks. And I've wanted to try a Marine team at some point. And Night Lords look pretty cool, and I'll have to see their rules to decide it or not. Because I tried Legionaries and they were pretty neat. Intercessions fine, but it was very bland. Phobos was a lot of fun, but Legionaries I might have to give a go around when they come out.
Eric, either of these teams tempting you at all?
Uh, I do like the idea of Night Lords. I'm not sure that I would want to play them. It's- Weirdly enough, the next kill team that I actually want to create or put together is Felgor Ravagers. I know they're old, and I know people have mixed feelings about them, but they just look really cool to paint. Like they just look like they would be a fun time to hobby, and I want to kit bash them in such a way that I can turn them into a Blood Bowl team too. I think that'd be hilarious.
I think that they are the most fun I've had painting and assembling models in, I don't know, 2 years. Mostly because I've been painting terrain, it feels like, for 2 years. But they were just such a blast. Every single one of them was a joy to assemble and paint, unlike Commandos.
I was gonna say, unlike the Commandos team, infamously terrible to build.
So the number one team that I don't think I will ever touch ever is Scouts. I think that the box art for them looks so atrocious that it turns me off. Like it actively turns me away from wanting to interact with them.
Like the front of the Salvation box, or the how they've been painted up by GW?
How they've been painted up by GW. The gray or the khaki plus blue, it just I want my Space Marines to have armor. I don't want them to have flimsy pants. Like, what's the difference between them and just like a standard guardsman besides that they're tall?
Yeah,
It just doesn't look like a Space Marine to me. And I understand
you
that they're
know,
not full-fledged Space Marines, but like, I need more oomph.
I wish that they would have had the puffy sleeves like they did on the old scouts with the stripes. Like make it very medieval squire ish, like the old art. That's my personal like for scout.
Yeah, if they would have leaned into like a style or aesthetic like that, then 100% I would be more into it. But they literally look just like generic prisoners with generic armor. It makes me sad. I hate looking at
I,
them.
that's kind of what the scouts always looked like, though. Unfortunately, these ones are much better than the old models, for sure.
That's fair.
I feel like everything is much better than the old models these days. Although I did hear some people that were not happy with the mandrakes and like the older models better. Mostly Jay from Eons of Battle wasn't excited about the mandrakes, but I think they look great.
I think they're fantastic. There's a clear
Same.
design language that they got going on. I was gonna say now. So
How do you think these teams are gonna play up? So the Legion, the Night Lords are kind of like legionaries, except they're a little more stealthy, and the mandrakes can like phase through the warp and stuff, right?
yeah, I mean, like mandrakes also have like a 6-inch like flamer generally. So I think the mandrakes are going to be absolutely insane, probably out of the two teams. Probably like Harlequins that have flamers,
That
and
would be
like
vicious.
yeah, they're probably like I'm gonna guess like a 5-up invul, some kind of teleport or fly, relocate kind of stuff, a flamer, and then just absolutely brutal melee um, on them. I really think that mandrakes could potentially be extremely strong, just because of how they are in the lore. They're like limitless shadow demons, like they can disappear and reappear in any shadow. Um,
So
you know,
here's a interesting tangential question. So Kill Team's the latest edition of Kill Team has been out for a while. We've seen plenty of bespoke teams. Do we feel like there is a power creep happening?
I mean, not when Commandos and Vetguard are two of the best teams ever.
Okay.
I
So
don't think we've had like. I mean, I think we've had a couple teams that were like the Ashes of Faith teams that came out were kind of broken, and Felgor were a little broken when they came out. But the dwarves weren't great, and I don't think Blades Gainer Scouts are crazy broken right now either.
okay, well, that makes sense. I always like to ask that question, just generally speaking. I'm not trying to posit that there is one, but with the longevity of a game, you always got to think like, what does it look like at any given point in time? And I know with Chaos Colts, that was a huge problem. Felgor were a problem in and of themselves as well, but um, yeah, Chaos Colts were a monumental thing. Um,
So, what I've heard about Chaos Cults and Ashes of Faith in general is that it was a product that wasn't part of the main Kill Team line, that it was something that was brought over from the previous season or from a different sector of Games Workshop to get models out that had been held back for a while. So, how much of that's true, how much of it's rumor, who knows? But judging by the previous rumors from Kill Team 2018, there's supposed to be Inquisition at some point, and we never got it. And then 2 years later, we get this sudden mystery summer narrative box with Inquisition models that look a lot like the Rogue Trader, Star Strider models. Same sculptor, same kind of feel and vibe to them. I think that that's largely what we saw with that, causing the emergency data slate.
Right. I'm just kind of wondering, especially when it comes to, say, the Night Lords, where Legionary, generally speaking, as a team, is pretty solid. I don't think that it's the best team in the world, but it's really solid. So if you take Night Lords and you base it off of, say, a pre-existing team like Legionaries, and you add additional features and you potentially up it and down it in some capacity, will it become good or bad? And that's kind of where my initial thinking was going.
So I think from a competitive standpoint, Night Lords are going to struggle most likely for one reason and one reason alone. They're a 6 model elite team without more wounds or some kind of activation delay. I think elite teams in this current meta just get out activated too hard, and then eventually you just die. You know,
Do you consider that the same case for Intercession, even though they can shoot twice?
I mean, like, yeah, they can shoot twice, but it's still their activation. If you don't give them any targets to shoot, they can't shoot, and then you just walk your Melta out, and then you walk your Plasma out, and you kill 2 Marines.
That's
And what are
fair.
they gonna do against that guard? They're like, okay, we got 6 activations, and then they've removed you from cover on one of them. You know, you can't be in it. Heavy doesn't matter. They melt you. You know, you're just gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I play Intercession from time to time when I'm not playing my novitiates, and I have a lot of fun on them. But yeah, I run into that problem quite a bit with, especially with horde teams. Like, I never want to play Pathfinders or Vet Guard because it's just such an uphill battle with 6 models. That being said, I'm a firm believer that at the end of the day, Intercession will never ever be fundamentally bad because they can take a basic component of the game and operate on it twice. So whether you're fighting twice or shooting twice, like, that's a basic component of the game, and you get to do it multiple times. It will always be good. Not in all circumstances given, but it would still always be good. Just having that option to do so.
I agree with that. I think that Intercession, especially, will always be a solid team, if not, the top team. Just because, like you said, they can shoot twice, but then they also have built-in rerolls, and so they have like great consistency, and then the ability to make it even more consistent every single time. Um, you know, like you just hit that hard wall on kind of activation cap that really limits the team, in my opinion. And I think we may see the same thing with Night Lords, even if they have some cool ideas without some changes to the way elite teams work. Um, we could see them get left behind the other ones.
What I was really hoping they would do is, like, before Night Lords even got announced, but ironically, you probably could have worked with them because I think they often run alongside cultists and the like. Was, but we kind of got Legionary, which was the bespoke version of the Traitor Space Marine team. But I really would have killed for something kind of similar to what Warp Coven does, where you can bring all Marines, but maybe instead of a Marine, you can bring like 2 basic dudes. This that I think would be a unique way of delaying activations while also being just a fun mechanic that you don't have in any of the other teams. Because I think it's really fun of an idea to have like 2 or 3 key pieces. A Marine is a terrifying profile, even a basic Trader Marine Compendiums team. It's still a 12 moon model saving on 3s. But having that model that can also be backed up by maybe like a slightly better guardsman, like say a blooded thug or something. Like just a little bit something more like that, I think would be a really cool thing to have and could also solve a lot of the problems that elites face of just constantly being out activated.
Do you think with it we see the Night Lords have about the same stat line as Legionaries, or do we think they get more in line with Intercession with a couple more wounds?
I'm really curious. I think that we may see a bump to elite teams in the next edition on the number of wounds or durability or something like that to kind of even them out. But I don't know what they're going to do mid edition, really, Because, like, if you bring Night Lords up too much, then people are going to complain about Legionary not being matched. And messing with Legionary balance is a delicate thing for sure, um, as we've seen in the past.
Do you think they end up, instead of having, do they get some more tricks for like super conceal? I mean, they are kind of stealthy Marines, aren't they?
I mean, like they're terror tactic Marines more than anything. So like Raven Guard are stealthy. Night Lords are like, yes, they can disappear, but like they're more there to scare the shit out of you. You know, like flay the flesh off of everyone's favorite charity worker in the neighborhood to let everyone know that they've taken over the planet, and that if you resist, it's going to happen to all of you.
I imagine they'll probably play around with debuffs, kind of like the what is the Grizzly Trophy equipment on Legionary, where you are not -1 to hit, but like just outright -1 attack. I imagine they'll have stuff like that either as like a ploy or like a better form of equipment, or maybe like one or two of the guys has that built in. Like I can imagine a totem guy definitely having a debuff. There's a Marine carrying the body of an enemy Marine is pretty terrifying. So I hope they do that to kind of give them a little bit more of a debuff differential compared to Legionaries as a team itself.
I think that they make it a super conceal of sort. That's kind of what the rules feel like they're hinting at with the little previews we've gotten on there. And the Ventrilo Loker, I think it um, is the guy with the Space Marine body. It eats people, apparently. The banner does, and then it impersonates their voices. So
Oh, that's
maybe
pretty
this guy
cool.
can like steal other people's abilities or stuff like that, or like give orders or things like that, which may be interesting. Maybe that's how they're going to do the delay. Like, um, it can like after he kills someone, he can make someone else go with the icon or stuff like that.
So it's going to be like Kirby, but for Space Marines.
Yeah, Kirby in Space Marines. Kirby would solo the 40k universe also.
Canonically, yes, Kirby would be able to do that in a
Yeah.
weird capacity.
I mean, isn't he literally made to eat gods? Like that's his thing.
I can't quite remember exactly, but ultimately, yes. Like the backstory for Kirby is that he's supposed to be like, uh, I don't know, maybe a god ender or something, but he's just an infant version of that, and so he's literally a baby, just like saving the world. Like the character that you play in games is literally an infant, which I find super fucking funny. But yes, he would be able to ultimately, quote, save the entire 40k universe if you threw Kirby into it.
That's the crossover promotion we need. Kirby
Yeah, Kirby.
times 40k universe.
Yeah, and which if Kirby was going to eat one of the gods of chaos, which one would be the worst, and why is it Nurgle?
Just bad taste. Just ugh.
So I guess the better question is, if he ate a god, what powers would he get from the gods? And I'm thinking just like, if he ate Nurgle, he'd just get really bad farts. Like, real bad farts.
That's powerful.
Sometimes you just got to clear a room. Sometimes clearing a room means killing everybody along with the fart, but whatever.
That'll do it. So we talked a little bit earlier about October, and Kill Scream 3 is coming in October. Before that time, though, we have a couple of tournaments coming up. Eric, do you want to talk about what's going on in the Kill Team Cascadia community? You and Tyler want to share what's coming up soon?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about some upcoming stuff just in general, not even including Killscream 3, as well as some other stuff that's in the works. So Killscream 3 is, of course, the biggest thing that we've been alluding to for like the last segments here. We're really, really excited about it. We have a lot of things in the work that we can't quite talk about yet, but the big thing that we're trying to do is create a 128 person kill team tournament that's going to be incredibly fun and very competitive. We want to try to really drill into it and make sure that we're hitting all the marks, because it's foreseen that, or so we've been told, around that time is going to be potentially a big change in Kill Team. We don't know what that means exactly, but some people throughout the community have alluded to it, and so we're really hoping that Killstream 3 is going to take whatever's happening and be able to capitalize on it to really make it a really fun time. Beyond that, a couple things to look forward to is we're going to be trying to make Killstream 3 bigger than just the Kill Team tournament. So we're going to try to do some sort of convention type situation. It won't be called Killstream 3. Killstream 3 will be the Kill Team tournament, but it might be, I don't know, Cascadia
It'll be
Tabletop or Cascadia Wargaming Convention or something like that. And we're really, really excited and looking forward to doing that. And we're probably going to drown in the amount of work that we have to do it all, but it'll be great. Tyler, you going to say something?
I was going to say it'll be a really good event. We're really trying to bring that flavor of the Pacific Northwest and kind of the flavor of our events to our next big event. I think one of the things that we're known for as a community is having a lot of flair with our stuff. Between giving away a sword at Kill Scream, having a White Elephant event, the upcoming tag team event later in February. We kind of do things our own way with that spice. And we're really trying to make sure that Killstream 3 is reflective of our community and the flavor that we bring to the scene.
Yep.
So I'm really excited about it. It's just going to be a wild time, I think.
So talk a little bit about the tag team event. I know there's been some events that have been like 2v2 events, but how is our tag team event going to be different than just two boards of Kill Team smashed together?
So right off the bat, Greg may hate me for this, but it's fine. The tag team event is Greg's event because he's going to be leaving the Pacific Northwest region for work. It's a good reason why he's leaving, but he's going to be relieving the region, and this is going to be his last event. And so we really want to kick it off as best we can, so that he can leave on a very high note. He requested to do a tag team tournament. We went over exactly how we want to do it, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be intense, but it's going to be fun. So instead of doing a standard like 2v2, what you're going to do is you're going to play with your. So you're going to play a regular match up until turning point 2. And then at turning point 2, you and your partner are going to switch boards. So you're going to walk over to your partner's board. Your partner's going to walk over to your board, and you're going to play each other's teams. You're going to do that until the next round entirely. So you're going to start with your teammate's team, and you're going to continue to play that until the second turning point. And at which case, again, game 2, turning point 2, you're going to swap again. And so you have to know everything that's going on with your partner's team in order to play effectively. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of chaos, and a lot of people are going to be groaning at the end of the night going, "Oh, I missed that opportunity. I'm so sorry, partner."
I think it's going to be fun because Greg and I are teaming up for this event as longtime Kill Team buddies. And I don't think either of us is going to be playing our team except for maybe once before the event, either team. We're going in this blind, balls first, just kind of, whatever catches us there.
And Connor, I know we were talking the other day about you were nailing down a partner. How's it going to work? Because you can't bring the same team either, so you can't both play AdMech.
I
You'd
know.
have to play another team.
I'm so sad.
Are you gonna look longingly over at the other board
Yeah,
as
be
they
like,
move around? You're like, no, what are you doing? You gotta no, that's the infiltrator. He's got to do this. I don't know how that works.
I'm gonna have to like leave a 1-page document at least of like here's what these guys do because each one's a little different. But yeah, I'm hoping to definitely make it down. I've got like 2 potential people that could be a partner, but it really just comes down to whoever first confirms I'm available. I'm like, sweet, we're going. But it sounds very cool. It's a weird idea, but that's what makes it so exciting. And I always have a great time at Cascadia events, which is why I'm glad to, go to them. But yeah, it'll be fun. I might actually show up with something beyond AdMech just for simplicity of my friend,
Whoa,
which
no,
I
really?
will feel sick to my stomach doing, but my teammate won't be sick to the stomach trying to play my team, so that'll be nice. I might go Warp Coven just to really piss him off.
Whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
I
whoa,
saw
whoa.
you were trying to get Brandon Bean to as part of his exploration of kill teams, get him to do Warp Coven, I believe.
No, Wormblade, just because I want people to vote for the Worm, because I want to see what he can do with them.
Gotcha. Yeah, if anybody can steer that team, he can. And then Tyler, I know I'm not gonna spoil it, but you and Greg have a theme to your teams, and you're specifically putting them together. This is a team you've been working on for a while, but you're finally at the deadline and got to get it done for this tournament, right?
Yeah, it's giving me the motivation to finish up a 3-year-old project, 2-year-old project at this point. Um, but yeah, it should be good. You know, you can peek our team name on the listing if you want and maybe get a idea. But we're going to be showing out you know, full tag team wrestling themed for this event. So
Is there going to be singlets, masks? What are we talking here?
no singlets,
Ultimate Warrior
uniforms
face
though.
paint.
I definitely uniforms. We'll see. We'll see about embroidery with those uniforms. So
I like that.
Just careful with the spandex.
Yeah,
I mean,
it breathes. It's great.
Fair enough.
extra spandex.
And then what is the date for the tournament for people who don't know?
February 24th. So
And it's going to be in
Kaiser, Oregon,
Kaiser.
at
yep,
Shiv Games.
over at Shivs.
Yeah, with our gracious host Jeff, one of our
Jeff.
great friends.
Yeah, Chef Jeff has been great to us. Ever since we started KTC, he's been pretty much fundamental in allowing us to shape our own community how we would like to within his store. So, like within his good graces, he has allowed us to flourish, and I don't. Frankly speaking, I don't know how we could really repay him. He's done so much good for us, to be frank. So
Buy stuff from his store, his
yeah,
eBay store.
right.
He ships everywhere at
Seriously,
a
eBay
discount.
is great. I've bought from him before. Excellent recommendation.
Yeah, he has pretty
Shiv
decent
Games
pricing
on
too.
eBay. Yeah. And if you're
We
into
can
Infinity, which is another great game, I think he's the #1 Infinity retailer out there in the United States. So definitely buy from him if you're looking for other skirmish games too.
I will say that if you've never played at Shiv Games is one of the best places to play a wargaming game at because his tables are high. Uh, Playing 9 games at LVO on basically card tables, it's amazing that like what it does to your hamstrings and your lower back. But Shiv Games, everything is like chest height, so you can. It's just a pleasure to play there because you don't have to bend over all day long.
You know, honestly, it's kind of a wargaming paradise. As far as like stores that are dedicated to wargaming, there's not a whole lot of them. Most of them specialize in board games and Magic and other stuff too, and cater to those crowds because they're valuable. Jeff is all about tabletop war games, so it shows.
And I know besides the tag team tournament we've got coming up next month in February, we've also got a unannounced March tournament that's on the books too. So I'm going to keep an eye out for that one. That's going to be more of a traditional tournament, right?
Yeah, so I'm currently working with an LGS to get another PDX tournament going. Hopefully, that will be a pretty standard tournament. I'm hoping to be able to do 32 if it ends up selling out. And then, of course, we're going to bump the number like we always do. But shooting for a 32-person tournament and standard format, so bringing back our bounty board and doing all the fun match play stuff. But on top of that, I have kind of a super fun announcement to make that I'm dropping out of nowhere. We're also going to be trying to do around the same time a region-wide narrative event. So anyone in the Pacific Northwest, from pretty much Salem all the way to, I believe, Bellingham, we're going to have some opportunities for people to play in a narrative event all together using different game stores. We have a couple of them signed up right now. We're working with some others to get on board as well. But if you ever wanted to play in a narrative event and you wanted to really have an impact on the locations, kind of like you're playing Pokemon Go, but with Kill Team narrative stuff, then yeah, look forward to seeing more about it. Hoping to get a lot of people interested as well.
I think the narrative campaign should be really good. Um, I think that narrative for Kill Team is there's a lot of spice there, and there's a lot of movement for it lately. I feel like um, we've really spent the last year growing the competitive scene, which we've established. Now it's time to support those narrative players so that we could make sure that everyone's included in our playing.
Yeah, narrative is huge right now within the KTC community. I see it all the time. People are wanting to get into small narrative things here and there, or some larger things with a dedicated LGS. And though narrative will unfortunately never be the true passion for KTC, we are a competitive organization. I wanted to try to come up with some sort of solution so that all of KTC could participate all together. And me and Fabi, another well, I should say Fabi primarily, but he's a KTC volunteer and actually one of our judges. He's a really good judge too. But he came up with a good way to edit Ashes of Faith, and I asked him, "Hey, can you replicate this, but for an entire region?" And he's like, "I don't know, but let's figure it out." So I'm really excited to be able to get an entire region of people all copacetic to playing the same game. Anyways, sorry, my rant's over.
No, you're good. I'm excited to try some narrative. Connor, have you done narrative before?
I've done it one very micro campaign, and then one that I had to drop out of, but it was over at Waystone Wargaming over in Seattle. If you're in the Seattle area, also can recommend them. Run by Matt and Sabrina, two of the coolest kill team, not even kill team, just people I know in general, but kill team people how I know them. Their campaign was super fun. It was definitely a good time. Just sadly had to drop out of it a little bit ago. But yeah, this whole thing that Fabi's put together, the little bit I've heard about it so far, sounds so cool, and I'm very excited to see how he can pull it off.
Yeah, I'm excited to try it too. I like I said, I've never played narrative, and I'm looking for something a little more fluffy than some competitive stuff for a little bit.
So probably the coolest thing about what we're trying to accomplish is getting players into different game stores. So if you constantly play at Guardian Games, for example, or Shiv Games, or Lost Star Games, Cosmic Games, so on and so forth, and you don't travel to other locations, our goal is to treat each store location as a unique experience for the narrative campaign. So if you're familiar with Ashes of Faith, the narrative components for it, you have different territories that give you different benefits or negatives, and so we're going to transpose those onto the stores themselves. Usually, we're going to try our best to make sure that they're mainly positives so that you don't feel discouraged from going to a store. But like, let's say that you're over at Guardian Games in PDX and Shiv Games is currently battling for supremacy between the Inquisitors and the cultists, and you know that you can send over the tides and like change up who owns the territory by just going down there 1 week and battling it out. um, that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to incentivize going and seeing different stores and interacting with different people and just really expanding the community and like getting people out of these tight knit little tribes that we're currently seeing. We want Cascadia to be an awesome, powerful region for Warhammer and specifically Kill Team, and this is like a perfect opportunity to do it. Super excited.
Yeah, I think the going into different stores to kind of like to fight on that territory is a really cool piece of it. I know that I go to Mind Taker, get the Guardian every once in a while, but yeah, if something takes me into Board Bard or Mox or some other place to fight over that, I think that'll be a neat feature of this campaign we're doing.
Agreed.
I think that one of the best things about our community is while we have relationships with stores, we are not a store-based community. So we're not getting stuck in those cliques, and we're meeting people outside of it and making new friends. Like if we were all just in our own little store Discord, I wouldn't know anyone that I do from this group. None of you, but we're all here in this big collaborative effort to build community for Kill Team in the Northwest, which works really well, I think.
Agreed.
I agree too. Yeah, command point pointed me towards KTC, and KTC's been just amazing. So got to meet all y'all from that, and I'm excited for what's going forward. So I think with that, it's about time that we wrap this up. Thank you all for joining us on our inaugural podcast. I'm super excited to keep going with this. I appreciate everybody getting together to talk about stuff. Anybody have anything that they want to plug here at the end besides killteamcascadia.com for our Discord and tournaments?
And our sweet merch.
Yeah.
Yep, Dice Thrower merch. If you're ever curious about Dice Thrower shirts, definitely check out the Dice Thrower merch.
Dicethrower.bigcartel.com. I'm going to have some shirts actually going up here soon, some leftovers in the next couple days from our last sale, and then new colorways and new designs hopefully here in a few months with some interesting stuff, I think.
Awesome.
Other than that, just again, another shout out to Dakota at Squad Games and the Squad Game staff. They really killed it at LVO, and we really appreciate them allowing us to come out and assist. It means a lot to us over at KTC. So thank you again.
For sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Great job.
Yeah, excited for
next year. It was an awesome tournament. Yep, Connor's coming next year. We're going to party in Vegas.
Hell yeah.
Tyler can introduce you to Ben.
I will lose my shit. I will be on the floor crying.
All right, don't go that far.
Okay, I'll try my best.
Ben, if you're listening, run away now.
Okay, come on.